You remember Caiaphas from the New Testament. He's the guy, the Jewish guy that sentenced Jesus to death. So he was part of Jesus' story, and he decided from the Jewish law perspective that Jesus couldn't go around saying he was Messiah without facing consequences, and one of those consequences was he would be put to death. Now, many years ago, there was this archaeological dig in Israel, and they dug up what looks like the cave or the mausoleum where the Caiaphas family was buried. And so there's a small cave about the size, what would look like on a piece of paper, like a handprint, and then out from it come 3 fingers from 3 different generations of folks named Caiaphas. The last bone box where someone was buried, it's kind of like being put in a casket, although back then they didn't have the embalming things we have. So when someone would pass away, they would basically maneuver their body into this very small box. And this bone box is filled with the bones of Joseph of Caiaphas, or the 3rd son or the grandson of Caiaphas, the original Caiaphas. And found in that bone box are actual nails, 2 nails actually. And they know that those nails date around the time that Jesus walked the earth. And it's believed that as some type of trophy or talisman that Caiaphas kept the nails that Jesus was crucified with. And that because he kept the nails and it was such significance to his family that it was passed down from generation to generation and eventually buried with either the 2nd or the 3rd generation. It's kind of hard to date the bone boxes and how they arrange in time. But the reality is this archaeological dig proves the fact that there are nails held by the Caiaphas family, the man who sentenced Jesus to death on the Jewish side. There are nails that date back to the time of Jesus. It helps us realize the story that there are archaeological points that prove out the center story of the gospel. And if the centerpiece story, Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, can be proven out through historical works and through archaeological digs, then it stands to reason that the whole story of the Bible, all the other ancillary stories that point to Jesus, could then themselves also be true and reliable. Again, but because many times these types of conversations and studies are stolen away from our students, many times they're only told one side of the story. Well, we don't believe the Bible's true because we don't feel we have enough information. Oh yeah, what about the bone box of Caiaphas and the nails that were found in it? What do you say of that? Again, if you don't have the tools to push back, sometimes it's hard to push against the lies of the day. A lot of what the Bible says, especially in the New Testament, we can go back to historical records and find the truth of those moments. And there was a gentleman at the time of Jesus, a Jewish historian named Josephus, who wrote down Jewish history of the day, and he himself writes extensively about the person of Jesus. We know he was a real figure in human history. He's not mythological, he's not made up. And because of that, it gives proof that the scriptures aren't mere fairy tales. The people who wrote the Gospels, actually, the first 4 books of the New Testament, they walked with Jesus, or those who did. They met with Jesus. They saw him bleed and die. They give first-hand accounts of the person of Jesus. And there's a consistency in their story.
For more kingdom-inspired content, like, comment, share, and subscribe.